please press the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate the commentary. Thank you everyone for your support. In today's video, I want to talk about some bold predictions I have for the U.S. Border Patrol, ICE, Homeland Security as well. If you're watching this video years from now, there is, I don't, it's not even, they're not ICE raids. These are not raids. These are enforcement actions that's being conducted. And it appears, the reason why there's just so many federal agents involved in a lot of these operations is because of people protesting and some rioting and some attempting to disrupt the law enforcement activities. These are not raids. This is a term that is made up by social media, and people who have no idea what enforcement actions are. I've made a lot of predictions in the private security, or not a lot, but I made quite a bit of bold predictions in the private security community, and they've came true. The guys that you trust on social media, I really wouldn't trust anybody, including, don't even take my word for it. But some people that you hold near and dear to your heart and you respect in different spheres of space, they often make some pretty bold predictions. One of them being Mike Glover, right, from Fieldcraft Survival. Yeah, I understand that there's the controversy, that's going on, and all of the challenges he's went through, and the memes and everything, and I get it. But when somebody is making sense and they're able to corroborate information, they're able to make sense, I listen. And last night, Mike Glover mentioned that there's going to be chaos. He said that there's going to be chaos tonight, and that was, I think, yesterday. And he's in Utah, right? I think he was talking about Heber City, possibly. But an incident actually happened in Salt Lake City, where you have somebody that went into the crowd, that went to the protest with an AR-15 in a threatening manner. It looked like somebody from Salt Lake City Police Department or another law enforcement agency made a conscious decision to shoot the suspect. They end up missing, and they end up taking the life of an innocent bystander. And at the same time, they end up hitting the suspect. So it looks like two people were hit. One was collateral damage, and this innocent person lost his life, unfortunately. But once again, Mike Glover, actually, he made that prediction last night. I don't think anybody's even caught that. I don't know if anybody's listening to him. But there are some people I still listen to in the social media sphere. I'm not saying listen to me. I'm just saying that I do have over 2 decades of experience in security and in law enforcement. And in the private security sphere, I made predictions that nurses, would be assaulted. Patients who are on a behavioral health hold, meaning 5150, I made bold predictions that they were going to escape, like certain patients, and they actually escape. So this is my bold prediction if ICE, HSI, and Border Patrol does not make some modifications to their enforcement activities. But let me first talk about what is going on. Obviously, they're enforcing immigration laws, right? I'm not going to take a political stance on this. I've probably done so in other videos, but I want to remain neutral on this topic because this is a heated topic. And I don't want to alienate my subscribers. So let me do the best job as possible. Those agencies I just mentioned, they have a job to do. That job is to enforce federal law. It is illegal. It's unlawful to come into this country undocumented. That's a give me. And these federal agencies are tasked with removing those individuals. President Trump, he's made it public that these operations are going to continue. I don't know if he calls it an ICE raid, or I don't even know if he's been calling it that, but these are not even raids. A raid does not consist of you having dozens and dozens of federal agents on standby for crowd control situation. You're not doing a raid. When you're doing that, you're doing enforcement action. A raid is more of like, hey, I'm serving a search warrant at a particular house. That's what we used to call, maybe in the 90s, right? We used to call them raids. It has negative connotations to that term. The way that the Border Patrol is doing this, and ICE and all federal agencies, it's in a manner that is, it's in a way that's inconsistent with, I want to say, like local law enforcement practices, community policing. Now, I've been in law enforcement for over 2 decades. You guys know that. There are certain ways to do things. Something that I learned on the job and through trial and error is that you got to try to save one man's face as much as possible, or a person's face as much as possible. Do not ridicule them in front of family. Do not place handcuffs on them in front of their children or in front of the family members. That's my golden rule. Unless it's an officer safety issue where that person immediately needs to go into handcuffs, or if they assault a family member, then they will go in handcuffs. They will be paraded in front of those family members. Now, with regards to immigration, when you're going to people's houses, you're basically kind of invading their castle. And when you invade the castle, you're going to get people that are very protective of that environment. And then something else I wanted to mention that I usually don't do in law enforcement is I don't go to their place of work and place them into custody unless the violation is something that's egregious and I want to make a point. Then I'll do that. This is and what I mean by egregious, like this is a very violent crime. This person needs to be taken out ASAP. What I typically do is, now again, this is your lower grade crimes. I make a call to this individual. Hey, this is so-and-so. This is what happened. I want to hear your side of the story of things. Maybe there's some mitigating factors. Are you able to come down to the police station and talk about this? Or, hey, sometimes turn yourself in. The alternative is I'm going to just show up to your work. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it where. I'm going to get a hold of your supervisors, your coworkers, the employees you supervise if you're a supervisor, and that's the route that we're going to take. And I kid you not, usually with 95% or 90% with a 90% predictable rate, they turn themselves in, they come in. Now the question is, will that work in a Border Patrol sense? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm not a federal agent. I don't do these types of activities, but I think that this is something that needs to be explored. Let me just go to the comments real quick. Giannis from Protective Services is here. Doug is here. And then T is here. He said he's with ICE, and Doug says he's 100%. Again, I'm not here to say I'm with ICE or against them. Again, I don't want to alienate anybody on the channel. I just want to open up dialogue. That's all I want to do. I lost a lot of subscribers, it's fine, because they don't like the stances I take. So again, I'm trying to be as fair sounding as possible. Okay, so back on topic. Can I just make that phone call with somebody who's here undocumented? The answer is, I don't know, and maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Now, I would think that those who are undocumented, right? And they come over, maybe they have asylum or they have a court date in a year or 2 years. I think that's called like deferred entry or something like that. That's a little bit different, because on their application, they're supposed to disclose where they work at and where they live. Now, if these people who are being approached on their work site for immigration purposes, if they're the ones that are lying on their application, they're the ones that are lying about their place of employment, and they're not updating immigration, I am 100% with the federal agencies that go to their websites, their work sites, and remove them as quickly and swiftly as possible. I'm with them. I would rather prefer that these federal agencies conduct surveillance activities of these people who are undocumented, and at the right place, at the right time, you take them swiftly into custody. I am 100% for that. Now, there's some drawbacks. The drawback is it costs a lot of money, and there is there's no predictability of success. I mean, sometimes it's hit or miss. Are you going to conduct a surveillance operation on one undocumented person for a whole week? Do you know how much money that costs? And the answer is, it's a lot. I mean, it is absolutely a lot. Can I get National Guard? I mean, maybe can I deputize National Guardsmen to assist with these clandestine surveillance activities? I mean, that would help. I don't have to pay them as much as a Border Patrol agent or a federal agent. Is that a possibility? And the thing is, I don't know. Again, I'm just opening up dialogue. Now, these are ways how I have investigated situations, being on the local law enforcement level. I talk to the person. I have them turn themselves in or come in. And I guess some people are saying, well, don't come in because you're going to get arrested. That's not true. That's not true. In many cases, yes. But again, for me personally, I'd rather take somebody into custody on their own will, on their terms. And sometimes I'll even say this. I mean, again, if the crime is not egregious, hey, when's the best time for you to come in and turn in yourself? If they want to play games and they don't turn themselves in, then that's when you go to their work site, their house, and do what you have to do. And they brought shame on themselves. Something also that I wanted to mention about federal agencies is they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have the community policing experience that local law enforcement has. I would even make an argument that the Highway Patrol does not have the same amount of community policing experience than your local cop who patrols a city, right? Because there's a certain amount of accountability. So, for example, if a Border Patrol agent or a federal agent, especially FBI, we'll say FBI, okay, if you perceive that they're using excessive force, what do you do? You just walk into the FBI station or headquarters and file a complaint or talk to the on-duty supervisor? It doesn't work that way because you can't find them as easy as you can with a local law enforcement agency. I get complaints sometimes every single day. People know where to find the police station, but they don't know where to find the Border Patrol headquarters and all the other places. And let's just say I got Border Patrol from Laredo, Texas, okay, and they're in Los Angeles, and they do something that I don't agree with, something that I think just shocks the public conscience. Where do I even complain? When you walk into the police station, they're going to tell you that's another agency. Like, I got no information. Look them up online, right? But if it's LAPD conducting some questionable activities, I could easily walk into any of the divisions that LAPD has and file a complaint or talk to the supervisor. So my prediction is, if the federal government doesn't change their ways of enforcing the activities, the immigration activities, if they don't change their ways, they're going to lose public support fast. And unfortunately, there's a few stories, right? There's like three or four stories out there, maybe 10. One of them revolves around the 60-year-old grandmother, the father that was taken from like a car wash, another from his place of work, and removed by immigration authorities. Those guys, they have a lot of sentimental output, a lot of sentimental value that is placed onto others' feelings, and it's going to create a negative effect. When you appeal, when you're able to appeal emotions, you're going to have a really hard time articulating your existence as a law enforcement agency. Now, what one of the sectors are doing, the Border Patrol sectors are doing, is they're posting stories about like some pedophiles that they captured in the Los Angeles area, and then they're discussing like the types of crimes that he committed. That they have to do that. Number one, first off, I want to know as a citizen, what are you guys doing out there? And if you're removing predators, then I'm 100% going to support you, especially predators that are not documented. I'm going to support you 100%. So I want them to keep doing that. But at the same time, you have to use empathy. Sometimes, once in a while, sympathy. Place yourself in other people's shoes. I mean, when you're removing somebody from a place, you are effectively removing a grandfather, a father, a son, a mother. And then there was like another story where like a 10-year-old was taken into custody, right? He was detained. Well, first off, if your parents are undocumented and you're taken into custody, they're taken into custody, what do you call it when Child Protective Services takes you in custody? I mean, it is a detention. You're not free to leave, but what they're doing is they're taking that child under protective custody. But the media is blowing it up and saying that they are being detained, right? And, again, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but again, some of these people, they've had a lot of years to become documented citizens. And I understand that the process is delayed, and when you delay the process, you delay justice, and that needs to change. And yes, there's some talk about the federal administration right now, using $160 million for enforcement activities. I think all across the U.S. or maybe just LA. I don't remember. The answer. I kind of answer to enforcement activities. How come those activities? How come that money was not used to pay for more immigration justices, judges, hire more personnel so that they can get their immigration status processed faster? I mean, just think about it. I think if this process was a lot faster, I think you'd have a lot less undocumented people in this country. But you don't. I mean, the process is so slow. People want to come here, and that's how great America is. They want to come here, and they'll come here through any other means. So these are my suggestions for the federal government. You have to do these enforcement activities in a different way. If you're over here with 30 agents conducting enforcement activities, I don't even want to call it a raid at a car wash or something like that. Look, whatever activity you do, it needs to be swiftly, right? You got to make it happen fast. Poor planning is a recipe for disaster. If you don't plan your operations, you're going to delay them. And every second that you delay is more time that you're going to get more angry people crowding around, protesters, you're going to get rioters. It needs to be done swiftly. I'm not saying go establish some jump out cars. What's a jump out car? Basically, you're jumping out of a van, nabbing people and taking off, which appears to be like, I guess, kidnapping, right? I'm not saying to go to that level. I'm just saying to do it fast. Do it fast. And when you have, when you're the squad leader or the team leader, you could send those 30 agents for perimeter control, maybe block a street. Where I work at, there's some pretty interesting operations that we do. And you have your inner team that are in the inner perimeter that are breaching the door, they're throwing the flashbangs, they're giving a charge to the door, they're making entry, they're doing all these other things. But then you have the uniform guys, the uniform division, blocking off all access, right? Whether that's a sidewalk, crosswalk to the location, and then streets. If I can delay that angry mob of people, then there's less of a chance of this event occurring on social media. Just, you got to be fast about it. So that's all I got. I'm looking forward to the dialogue. I really do not want to see these federal agencies lose control over the situation. And I think that they're going to start losing control if they really continue an engagement of activities that's opposite of what the public would like to see. Because remember, it doesn't matter what law enforcement agency these guys belong to, state, local, it doesn't matter. The people are the ones that give them power. The people are the ones that give law enforcement power. And that's how the United States of America's separation of powers, it was created. I mean, well, first off, federal government, the executive branch, legislative, judicial branch, they were all created by the people. By the people. But I'm telling you, if we're over there doing these things out there, or we're not planning our operations appropriately, and the optics look terrible, we're going to lose that public support. We definitely are. And I know that there's a lot of support in the comments, which are hard workers that are over there, you know, LA area, and maybe even Portland, Atlanta. I know that there's a lot of support, but I'm telling you, there's probably subscribers right now that are not supporting the enforcement activities anymore. Again, because of these small anecdotal incidents where a father, a grandfather, a grandmother, or somebody was like forcibly removed from their job. So just think about that. All right, guys, I'm out. Take care, and I'm looking forward to your opinions. What's up, Mike, from the Professional Character Journal? All right, guys, I'm out.